1-800-919-3776. Knicks fans here. Big S on ESPN New York.
Hey, guys. How are you?
What's up?
Listen, it's been a long time since we've ever been this good. I mean, it's been a very, very long time. And I'm sad to see all those kids go because they suffered through the bad times like many of us did, like Gallo and Chandler and those guys. But we haven't been this good in years, guys. The last time we were good, I was 11 years old, and I'm 22 now. Half my life, the Knicks have been abysmal, the laughing stock of the NBA, and now they're good. This is new to me. I love it.
That's the way Knicks fans should feel today. And it's funny, your point about giving up the young guys, you got tied to Gallo, and there are some Wilson Chandler fans in town. And, yeah, Fields is gone.
I think all of them. I just thought Gallo's upside was more than the others, but I enjoyed all of them. I enjoyed watching them. You know, Wilson got better every year. And, you know, and listen, when you see a guy like Felton, he knew the score when he came in. It was a 2-year deal for not a whole lot of money when he left Charlotte. So he had, unless he's not really aware of the economics of the game and the plan for the Knicks, he had to know what was going on. He knew he was a rental, but boy, they embodied what the Knicks were about. And I think a lot of people are going to miss Raymond Felton. And I respected Raymond Felton. Raymond Felton reminded people what the point guard position is supposed to be all about in New York City.
Well, I loved Raymond Felton. That's somebody I didn't want to lose. I really like him a lot, and I thought that he would have been great for the Knicks franchise for years to come. But I'm not going to sneeze at Chauncey Billups, who's a champion, who's been to the NBA Finals twice, who went to 7 consecutive Eastern Conference Finals. This guy is a born leader, and you can't sniff at that as well. And the only other thing that I'll say is, with DAntoni, remember, one of the brilliant things about him is that he makes a lot of people look good in his offensive structure because you're sort of like free-flowing. Well, you know what? Now that you've got Melo and Amari, imagine if he could make them look better. That's going to be a challenge. And more importantly, can he do it on the defensive end of the floor? Because if he can do it on the defensive end of the floor, then you can make a legitimate argument that the only two teams definitively better than the New York Knicks in the Eastern Conference is Miami and Boston. But Chicago and Orlando, they might be there to be had if the Knicks could play some defense, and that's why I say we got to look at D'Antoni as well.
See, and I'm a little different from you. You know what actually bothers me more is the extra pieces. If you're going to get Carmelo Anthony, you got to give up Gallinari. That's just there. You admit to it. It's going to cost. You don't get Carmelo Anthony for nothing, so you got to pay. Wilson Chandler, they might not have been able to keep anyway because his contract was up, so he's going anyway. Mozgov, we'll see what he is, but I'm not going to stop the rain by giving up Mozgov. And you have to understand the point guard swap. There are advantages to both of the sides. They both understood why they wanted to do it. Anthony Randolph was the number one. You told me he was the number one. They could get a number one for him at any time.
Yeah, I told you
so you're giving up a number one pick. Then you had to throw your own number one pick on top of it for 2014. Second-round picks are what they are, but it turned into Landry Fields this year, so it has some value. If it was just the 4 guys, the guys we had already been tied to, then I would have been okay with it. It's the extra stuff that I'm going, that's what you're going to need to make the deal for Chris Paul if it's got to be a trade before he goes free agent. Or to get that piece that you need another first-round draft pick. They got no flexibility with first-round draft picks for trades now.
You know, the other thing, too, and you go back to the job that Walsh has done, and, Stephen, I want to ask you something in a question in a second about Donnie.
Yep.
Donnie Walsh, something I heard that you said. I didn't hear it, but I wanted to get your exact comment on this. It would be interesting. But even Walsh, you know, people say, well, you know, he didn't get anything for David Lee. No, he did. He got back somebody that, whether or not we think he's good or not, people around the league think Randolph has value. And it's evidenced by the fact that they got a number one pick back in return. Every move that Walsh has made, I believe that there's been another move in the back of his mind to help complement the first move. So, you know, that's why I'm a little bit lost on this whole thing with Donnie Walsh being out of the equation as he is. Now, I know that you said he was doing this and he wasn't doing anything. I mean, this was a Dolan thing with an Isaiah thing. So let's stop beating around the bush and let's get into it.
No, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
We don't agree on that. We don't agree on that at all.
Go ahead. What do you got?
Ultimately, Dolan makes the call. There's no denying that. But I've always been told this, from the days of Scott Layden to the days of Isaiah Thomas to the days of Donnie Walsh, that the one thing Dolan's not going to do is overrule his basketball piece.
But Donnie Walsh didn't want to give up Mozgov, so somebody overruled him.
He didn't want to give up Mozgov.
What?
But every year, that I've covered the NBA, and it's been 14 years now, there is always an executive that has to worry about an owner not liking a particular move that he wants to make. But 9 times out of 10, the owner looks at them, might be with a raised eyebrow, might be with a wrinkled forehead or what have you, but they look at them and they go like this, it's your call.
Go ahead.
Huh?
No, I'm saying go ahead, make the move.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I understand how it works, but
right.
So go ahead. But I don't understand, because to me, Donnie Walsh still gave up more than he wanted to, so it was out of Donnie's hands.
Well, what I'm trying to say to you, BT, but you can say it that way, but what I'm telling you is that most executives, Billy King is right in New Jersey. Billy King, I covered him for years in Philadelphia. A lot of times, Ed Snyder and those guys looked at Billy King and looked at him and like, are you sure? But at the end of the day, he had to make the decision to pull the trigger, knowing that if the move didn't work out, it may cost him. But ultimately, he's accountable for that. Now, there are situations where, you know, the George Steinbrenners of the world, there are very few owners in the NBA that are like that. There's every now and then with a blockbuster deal. When an owner gets themselves involved, BT, it's usually not because of basketball. It's because of some other business maneuver. Ticket sales and interest
the Garden sold out every night.
And that kind of stuff.
The Garden sold out every night.
I understand that, but at the same time,
so
if you're looking at it, I mean, there are certain things they're talking about. I just got something from our boss, Justin Craig, on, you know, when he looked up some information and was pointing some stuff out to me about the New York Knicks and what has transpired in the last 24 hours since they talked about how Knicks tickets have been the top searched and top selling ticket on StubHub over the last 24 hours.
I understand that, but I mean,
that doesn't make the Knicks any more money.
No, I'm just saying stuff like that is what transpired. These are the kind of things PR departments. I'm not using that, but that was a poor example.
Yeah, no, I got you.
I'm just saying those other ancillary things come into the equation when ownership gets involved. It's usually for a reason other than just that.
I know it is, and quickly. I wish we had more time. But Steve, are you telling me that you don't think that Donnie Walsh feels ostracized, left out? Of course he does.
I don't know.
And let me ask you this: do you think Donnie Walsh wants to come back next season?
I think Donnie Walsh feels like he's been in this league long enough. He's accomplished enough. He's done enough. So it shouldn't be a situation where he should be questioned or overruled. And there's no doubt that he feels that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But the point is that in spite of the fact that he feels that way, that doesn't mean that he's been allowed to do his job. What Dolan basically said at the end of the day was this: well, you've made every move, just like you just pointed out, BT. Every move he's made, he's had another move in the back of his mind. Well, what the hell was it for? It was to get something like this. So now that you got an opportunity to get it, what's the problem?
The problem is that he didn't make this deal. Dolan made this deal.
Exactly.
And if he were the guy making the deal, he wouldn't have gotten up and left New York to go home to his family in Indianapolis. Everybody else flies out to L.A. to be at the All-Star game. Donnie goes from New York to hang with his family in Indianapolis while the biggest trade the Knicks are making in 25 years comes down. That tells me it wasn't.
Well, I will say this to you, and here's where my trepidation comes into play, and y'all are not saying what it is. Donnie Walsh has been in this league for far too long. Donnie Walsh is approaching 70 years of age. You don't like it, walk. Because every other executive has to deal with that. Donnie Walsh is accomplished enough to walk away into the sunset. He doesn't have to deal with the nonsense if it's that bad. How come nobody brings up that particular scenario?
Well,
How come nobody says,
Steve,
well, you know what?
Steve,
Brandon just
said that he's going to walk away. I believe. And here's the fact. Donnie Walsh is pissed off right now. He's not happy.
Let me ask you a question. Are you pissed off?
But I wasn't slighted like he was.
Are you pissed off?
No, I'm okay with the trade.
I'm beautiful with the deal.
Yeah, I understand
Most New Yorkers are.
But let me ask you, Stephen, why was he marginalized? Why?
Because when you have the opportunity to get a star...
He still would have gotten him, though.
But wait a minute. How do you know that?
How do we don't?
What I'm saying is, if you're an owner, if I'm an owner, and I have to watch this franchise over the last decade, and I feel I got an opportunity to get Carmelo Anthony, I don't want excuses, and I don't want to leave nothing to chance. I want to get it done.
Stephen, Carmelo Anthony, we were doing our show on July 7th.
Sure.
And I told everybody, Melo's coming here. What was so hard about making this trade happen? Carmelo was coming here all along.
If you don't get the deal done before the trading deadline, there was no guarantee that Carmelo was going to be here. And you can tell me what you think. I'm telling you what I know.
So am I.
Carmelo
I'm telling you what I know.
was not going to be here if the deal wasn't done before Thursday.
So you're telling me that you are 100% sure that he would have signed the extension with the Nets if the Knicks couldn't come to a deal with the Nuggets?
Yes.
I disagree.
Yes.
I disagree.
You can disagree all you want to.
Okay.
You can disagree all you want to. I'm not asking.
I don't think
now
that's
you figure out how I know that.
But Steve,
I'm telling you, he would have signed the extension. He was not going back to Denver, and he was not going to come to New York unless the deal was done before the trading deadline. I am telling you.
What do you mean you're telling me?
I'm telling you. When I say I'm telling you, you figure out why.
So, but I guess when somebody tells you that they're telling you, you can't figure out why.
Okay.
See, it's a two-way street,
I'm not
Steve.
going to argue with you.
And let me say this,
I'm not going to argue with you about the NBA inside information.
Stephen, hold on a second, buddy. There are other people on this planet who know the NBA, maybe not as much as you, but have sources too. And I'm one of them. So when you say, listen up, I'm telling you the fact, it doesn't mean what I'm telling you is wrong.
I am saying to you that Carmelo Anthony was not going to be in New York
that's not
had he not signed the deal, had he not had a trade not taken place before the trading deadline.
And I'm saying
that's all I'm saying.
That my sources tell me differently.
I understand.
Is what it is.
Rely on them. Go ahead.
I have.
I'm telling you what I'm telling you.
That's why I told the world before anybody he was coming here.
Okay.
Pretty good source.
Okay, fine. He's here. Now what?
Now they got to get somebody to play defense. Mac and BT here with you on ESPN New York. We'll come back in a couple. We should get some more phone calls.
We have to get more calls. We have
to.
He's with us, 10 more minutes? We got to get some calls. I know people want to talk to him. All right, Mac and BT, Stephen here as well. Right here, the ESPN New York.